Hello and welcome to Leave the Feed 30 Days of Disconnect. Today is day 24, winding down, talking about shared moments with Emilia Igartua. Emilia, welcome to the show. So excited to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to be able to talk about this very, very important topic, I feel.
Awesome. Let's start with your story. Let's talk about your journey in travel, hospitality, the arts. How did all of this unfold and where has this path taken you?
I'm a huge multi-passionate person, so I have done a lot of very different things throughout my life. But one very big constant has always been art and travel. My family has always been very artsy. I mean, not my mom, but my dad. He's an artist. He's always been a photographer. He used to build this incredible floats for the carnival that we have here in Mazatlan in Mexico. So art has always been like a huge presence in my life. Both my mom and my grandmother used to be art history teachers when I was a kid. My mom and my aunt, they would organize themed summer camps when we were kids. So it's been very present. And I feel that since we were kids, both my sister and I, we we grew up with this curiosity for the world. Like that it was like very instilled for us, curiosity for the world. And I've always been so in love with photography and just like I would spend hours as a kid looking into magazines, into National Geographics. I have like a huge stack of National Geographics that I collected since I was a kid. So I feel like we grew up with in this environment when we were taught a lot about the world and to be curious about the world. Where I live in Mexico, it's we have a lot of American influence. So when like back in the 90s, the whole rage was to like go to the US, go to Disneyland, go to the malls. And my parents were sure that we also got to know our own country. So we did a lot of road trips. I think it's very related to like the way I grew up. The having that growing up with that curiosity for the world. And I've always loved photography and travel. And I growing up, I had like this little voice in the back of my brain that was always like, I want travel to be my life. I want travel to be my life. And back in my 20s, I do wish I had traveled more. But then when I was turning 30, I was going through this like weird identity crisis moment. I guess it was like the 30s crisis or something. And I just decided to jump and go somewhere alone. And I went to Bali and I bought Alexa West's travel guide, Alexa, who you talked to in a previous episode. I bought her travel guide to Bali. And when I was in Bali by myself, COVID happened and I ended up getting stuck there on the other side of the world. I was like, the world was in the craziest moment of, like in my entire life. And I ended up staying there for over a year. And I met Alexa and we became creative partners. And all of a sudden, travel had become my life. It's like that trip and that moment through COVID really changed my life. And it just felt one of those really aligned moments when you're like, this is it. Like, this is where everything has been mounting up to. And after COVID, I ended up meeting my boyfriend who is Spanish. So now I live in Spain. So now I'm like traveling back and forth between Mexico and Spain all the time. I meet with Alexa somewhere else. Suddenly travel became my life. And even when I'm not traveling like full time, because I do live in Spain and I love living there, my entire life it revolves around creating travel guides for women. So my life now revolves around travel. That's how I ended up working in the travel industry. And it makes me so happy. I really think that travel is it's so educational for us. I do think it's really important to see the world. Even you don't have to go to the other side of the world, but I do think like learning to see the world with open eyes and open mind really changes you as a person and really forms you as a person.
Now, talk about that creativity. It's so cool that you grew up in an environment where the arts were so prevalent around you. And when you did start to travel and explore in that innate curiosity that you had, what is it that you like to capture as a photographer? What are you looking for when you're out traveling?
I love looking at daily life in different places. I think sometimes when we're traveling, we're looking for like the big moments and the big landmarks. But what I really love to observe is how daily routines and daily lives look like for different people in different places around the world. I think having little windows into how and what real lives look like in different corners of the world, I think that's something really, really beautiful because that's what really speaks about who we are. I think it's like the small moments that really speak about a culture and a person and ways of life versus the big moments in travel. And something else I really, really love is culture and crafts. I love watching processes on how for example, in Indonesia, how masks are made or textiles, or here in Mexico, food, I love looking at how things are made, how processes happen to create things. And I love documenting that too. I think it's also like a really beautiful window into a culture.
And it must be interesting because, the creative process is beautiful. It's organic, it's in flow, it's ever evolving, and it's fun to see how all of these different cultures are essentially putting their fingerprints on the world through the arts. Now, with social media, you're in a unique circumstance because you're a photographer, and obviously, when you're capturing things, you want to share those things. So I'm curious just a little bit about your own relationship with social media as an artist and as a creator, and how you've had to adapt your craft to different channels. And what's that been like for you? How is it just holistically, how has it impacted you?
I would say a lot. Social media for me, Instagram started when I was like 21, 22. And it started as this a really fun way to share and document little moments of your life with friends. But then it just became this huge machine that we know now. And years ago, I used to paint a lot. I'm also a painter. And I used to paint so much more. Now I'm really focused, way more focused in photography. But I can see like a before and after with my painting and my artwork with social media. I feel that we are not designed to have so much input all the time. I think social media can be an incredible asset for artists because work can reach really far corners of the world. And now artists don't have to be dependent on galleries or like distribution channels. I feel social media has really democratized art in an amazing way, but also I feel like it has impacted the creative process, not just for me, but for a lot of artists in a very not so positive way. Because we have too many influences now. We have too many visual stimulus. We have too many like way too much input about everything. So it's really hard, I feel, that doesn't affect your work. And there's some things that go viral, some things that don't, some things that work. So I feel that now social media has somehow like dictated the art that we create and the things we produce creatively. I feel like social media, like the format has become some kind of like a shape, like a mold for what we should be creating versus what we want to be creating. I feel that that's also one of the reasons that I've really found myself loving photography is because I feel like I'm documenting life versus I'm creating content. I love photography, how it can be a window into the real world and the realness of life versus creating something. Because at least personally, I can say in my other line of work, in art and drawing and painting, social media did impact my work. I am able to see like before and after and how I felt before, like when you're a kid or you're younger and you don't have all of this pressure on you and you're just like creating freely. But now social media, you're thinking like, oh, is what I'm creating, is it gonna perform well? Is it gonna go viral? Is it gonna have engagement? Is it gonna do well? So I feel it's a lot of strings attached to creativity nowadays with social media. I feel social media is such like a double-edged sword for artists and creatives because on one hand, it's like an amazing display for your work to go as far as possible, but on the other hand, it comes with a lot of strings attached for the creative process.
Now, what about the subjects that you capture? Because life has changed, and there used to be a lot of moments in humanity that were just with two people, but now technology is pretty much omnipresent. And when you are capturing people in the real world, in those beautiful moments or elements of culture, how has technology and their role with technology impacted what you capture? Do you notice subjects are more on technology and you have to find it's harder to find those moments, or do you think that those moments are actually more so there and available?
If I'm walking down the street and doing, I don't know, some kind of street photography, just like documenting what I see, something that I do notice is that people, like everyone's looking at the screen, everyone's looking down. If you're at a line waiting for something, even if you're in a plane, everyone's looking down. But I think that's also why I gravitate a lot toward handmade processes. One of my favorite things to document is things that are happening by hand, cooking, behind the scenes in restaurants. I love documenting hands. I don't always take faces because I don't want to invade people's privacy and personal space, but I love documenting things that are happening, physical things that are happening, a plate being served, a dish being prepared, a basket that's being hand woven. things like that. So I feel that I am naturally gravitating. I have like this, like what I'm looking for naturally with the camera in hand is things that are happening in real life. But I do notice because I'm walking around and I'm looking and I'm observing and I'm just like looking around and documenting what I see. I do notice how much we are all looking down at our phones.
And how have you managed your own relationship with social media as an artist? Because the opportunities for exposure are so big, like you talked about, but it is that double edged sword. So, how do you try to make peace living inside of this digital quagmire?
It is hard. It has been a hard journey. I'm not gonna lie, and this it's something I've been working a lot on this year. I've been really working on consuming less and creating more. I feel like that's the balance. I feel like social media at the end of the day is a tool that can be a very positive thing, but also if we don't use it correctly, it can be a very negative thing. So I think it's something that we need to learn how to work with, and we need to see it as a tool, a work asset, a work tool that we need to work like use it with balance. Same with computers or other kinds of screens or other kind of business tools. I think we need to come back to see it as a tool and not just as this crutch for life. And for me, one of the things that I realized last year, I felt just like so creatively burned out. And it was because I was like consuming so much. I was consuming more than I was creating. So one of my goals this year has been to create more, consume way less. And that's been like a way for me to like make peace with social media a lot, to spend less time scrolling and more time photographing. Some weeks when I'm just working on the computer and have like a really normal routine, I give myself small challenges like, okay, today I'm gonna walk somewhere, even in my daily life. I'm gonna have the camera on me. I'm gonna take 3 photos, or I'm gonna look for this color. I'm gonna look for this. So my challenge this year has been to create more than I scroll, because it's so easy to fall into like the mindless loop of scrolling. And I feel like that's when it takes over us, and that's when it becomes a hindrance instead of an asset. And creatively, like inspiration wise, it has been a positive thing because I have found artists that I love and that have really fed my work. I have even made amazing friends through social media that I have then met in real life. So it can be a beautiful thing. But I feel that once we let it take over our lives, that's when it becomes such a toxic thing. And I think it happens so quietly that we don't, like, one moment we wake up and we're like, oh man, social media has really taken over my life. Like, I spend so much time scrolling. I'm using this app called Opal. I don't know if you've heard of
I've
it.
heard of that, yeah.
I I think it's amazing. I think it should be like a default setting on phones. You can like limit your apps. You have like sessions. And when I'm working, when I'm having like a super focused work session on my computer, I like my apps are locked. And it every week it gives you a report on your screen time. So every Monday morning it's like, oh man, this is how you did screen time wise. And that's also been like a nice mirror to analyze my habits around screens and social media, and just like be more mindful and more assertive on how I want to work with this tool, because it is a tool, and what my relationship with it looks like.
Yeah, I think you brought up a great point about creating more and consuming less. Sometimes creators go to social media because they feel like that's where the inspiration is. But to your point earlier in the conversation, you can get overwhelmed, compare, feel like you're not doing enough. And sometimes the intuitive nature of just being in the world and looking for those creative artifacts that inspire us, those natural wonders, really help foster that creativity. Now, today is about shared moments, this lesson. It's about making quality time with the people that we love, whether it's getting hands on with crafts or taking a walk together, looking at the sunset. As you find balance within your own social media use, how has that strengthened your relationships with those in your inner circle, or how does it afford new types of connection and time with them?
I think that's also like an ongoing process for me. It's been a huge step forward this year, I feel, with my own relationship with my phone and how I want to interact with it. And now I feel I'm able to like see how it's affecting my dynamics with other people. For example, there are moments when I'm like, I don't know, I'm in the couch, my boyfriend sitting next to me, and we're like each scrolling. And now I feel it's one of those, like, the first step is to see it, and then you can address it. Like, see the problem and then address the problem. I feel like I'm in the in between step of like seeing the problem and addressing the problem with my relationships. So there are moments that now that we're like, oh, we're both on our phone drop it, like leave the phone, or to like not bring my phone into the bedroom and like just scroll, like be scrolling before bed, or if I'm sitting down to have coffee with friends, to like not have the phone on the table, like put it away. Just be more mindful of those like little things that they're actually little things, but they can become big things, you know? It's just like such an omnipresence of our phones all the time. And I think the excuse is very easily like, oh, it's for work. It's for work. It's for work. Yes, it's for work. But I feel that we do need to create spaces where we can put our phone away and where we can be challenging those habits of just like automatically opening social media, automatically scrolling, and just really be conscious of, okay, I'm sitting next to you. I don't want you to feel that I'm not listening to you because I'm on my phone, or even because I'm even holding your phone. It's become like an emotional support kind of thing to have in your hand, because we are, I mean, at least my generation and the generation below me, we are a generation with such high anxiety, and phones have become a crutch. They have become this emotional support thing that somehow ease our anxiety. So I think it's really important to like see it, like see the problem, like sit down with the problem and see it as a mirror and be like, oh man, like this is really becoming attached, like an attachment to my hand, or like an extension to my hand. And that scares me, you know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I haven't dropped my phone in a while. That scares me. So right now, like what I'm really working on is in my relationships, I don't want the phone to be ever like omnipresent. With my friends, with my boyfriend, with my family, this weekend we're all getting, my whole family's getting together for Christmas, and my sister and I, we have been talking a lot about, okay, let's do the thing where everyone puts their phone in a basket if we're all sitting at the table. Because like I was telling you earlier, I have a nephew who's about to turn 13, and you know, he's at that age where he wants social media. He wants to just like jump into like the social media world. He has friends and classmates that already have uncapped access to social media. And I think that is so big to like be 13 and have uncapped access to social media and everything that's out there. I think that's so big. It's like a huge wave that, I mean, at that age, we don't know how to surf.
Hmm.
So my sister, she has been resisting a lot to like give him full access to everything, which I think she's been doing an amazing job at it. And nowadays, you see how Australia has banned social media for teenagers below 16th. The European Union is also rolling new laws like that for teenagers. And I mean, I don't think our brains are ready for all of that. So it's been a very big conversation in my family this year, because we're seeing my nephew who's about to jump into this world, and it feels so big. And this year we want to like extend the invitation to everyone to not be glued to their phones, because we want to set a good example for him. So we want to do like the put your phone in the basket, and whoever grabs their phone first has to do a funny challenge or something like that. It's something that we are working on in my family as well, because I think like seeing it with my nephew has been like also like a wake up call on how it affects me, how it's affecting him, how it's shaping the world he's stepping into, how it's shaping my world. It's been a really good mirror for me and for my family to think more about social media and phones and screens, and how they affect us and how they affect our dynamics, and how it's going to affect him growing up.
Right. Now, you brought up this moment that's on the couch, and I think a lot of us have had those moments where you're sitting next to a friend, a boyfriend, a spouse, a loved one, and you're both scrolling, and it's this unconscious behavior. You're just rolling with it. And then you brought up bringing that awareness to be conscious of it. And there's a battle that goes on there. And the battle is
Mm-hmm.
like you want all of these dopamine rushes, you want everything coming from the feed. But then I'm curious, like, when you do put the phone down and you both identify, wait a minute, like we're both here with each other, we want to be present with each other. How hard is it to get into the new flow of not being reliant, or being at a dinner table and not being reliant on showing a picture on your phone to someone, you know, using it as that sort of social crutch with the people that we're really close with, that we should just be able to like hang out with. How have you noticed your own self adapting to those transitions as you're going through this journey?
At first, over like the first few minutes, it feels weird, and I feel like it takes me a transition moment to like really flow into the present moment and into the conversation. But once I'm just like in the conversation, then an hour has passed, and I'm like, oh, this has been an amazing conversation. But then I also have like anxiety, like guilt or remorse pangs, being like, I haven't checked my phone. What if something important is needed for me, you know? So it's also a balance. But I think once we're in a conversation with someone, it's easy to forget the phone. Once you're like there in the moment laughing, it's really easy to forget your phone. I think we just need to like relearn that. Or maybe it's not in a conversation. Maybe it's like go grab a paper and do something with your hands. The past month, a friend started to teach me how to knit. I suck at it, but I just started teaching because I wanted to do more things with my hands when I'm in the couch and we're watching a movie or something, and I feel like I need to be doing something else because like our brains are expecting those extra hits of dopamine. I'm keeping my hands busy by knitting, so I think that has been like, I guess, like a healthier crutch for my hands, or like my habit of looking for that extra something for my brain. Also, I have like a very ADHD brain that's jumping from place to place all the time. So my brain has always a lot of tabs open. And I think that's also why it's constantly seeking in my phone, or like an extra source of stimulus. So doing things with my hands is something that I come back to when I what like the way I transition back into the present moment. Knitting has been like one of my latest experiments, but also cooking. Whenever I'm like, okay, I need to walk away from the screens, walk away from my phone, I go into the kitchen and I cook. And if I have my hands dirty, I'm not gonna touch my phone. So getting your hands dirty is an amazing way to not touch your phone. So I have found that doing things with your hand is a great way to like retrain your brain and retrain yourself to not touch your phone.
Yeah, I love that. That's so fun to get creative. It made me want to create like leave the feed knitting kits. But it's
I
anything
mean,
that
it can be scrapbooking, journaling, drawing, like playing with like Play-Doh, whatever, but doing things with your hand. And I don't remember like the actual science and data behind it, but it is proven that doing things with your hand rewires your brain. And it has incredible, I mean, not benefit, but it does have incredible effects on our brains. So doing with your hands, I feel it's something that is one of the biggest solutions to being on our phones all the time. Going back to writing by hand, going back to drawing, to doing crafts, to just getting your hands dirty, even if it's gardening or cooking or whatever.
now there's people right now that are towards the end of this 30-day challenge and they're listening to this podcast, they're looking for help. What encouragement, what advice do you have for anyone that's wrestling with their relationship with social media and wants to find more peace with it?
The biggest thing that I would say is that you're not alone. It makes me really happy to see that there is this shift happening around the world with Screenwise. The laws that have been like now passed in Australia, the conversations that are happening in the European Union about this, and also like even it's ironic because it's things that you see on social media, but more and more you're seeing how brands are having physical pop-ups and in events, and you can also see how in travel, like hotels are offering like off the grid, offline spaces for group trips, for retreats. We're doing off the grid and offline retreats for women. We're doing this yearly river rafting trips, and we're creating more trips where women can come and be off the grid, or at least very much offline for a couple days, because this is something that people do want. We are collectively gravitating back towards offline. There's people like spending a lot of money in super luxurious journals because people want to go come back to paper. There's been a surge on paper, like tangible books. There's this girl that, again, I found her in social media, so there's a little bit of irony in this. But there's this girl who just launched a line of physical phones. I think her username is Ask Cat GPT, if I'm not mistaken. But a few months ago, she launched a line of physical phones, like court phones, like old school phones that they connect with your phone. So like you can leave your phone somewhere else in the house completely, but you can use like a sit down and have a conversation with a friend or a family member with an old school rotary phone, or like a wall phone like we used to use back in the 90s.
Yeah.
People want that like physical experience again. So for me, seeing all of that feels very hopeful, that we don't want to be consumed by social media and by the screens anymore. We at least want an in between.
And what's next with your journey? Your journey as a creator, your journey in the arts, your journey in travel, and then also how social media is going to fit within that construct.
I feel that for me, it's more to continue learning that social media is a business tool, and to use it as a business tool and not something as not as something that defines my life. Something that I would love to do in the near future is to launch a collection of prints, photography prints. So I also want to take photography from the screen to offline to real. I love postcards. I love letters. I love sending physical letters. I would love to possibly have like a print, like a snail mail club or physical postcards. I would love to take photography and travel from like the online and the online content that we're seeing all the time to real physical things that you can have and touch. So that's something that I am really looking forward to this year. And the other thing that we're doing alongside Alexa, we have our collection of travel guides. And a lot of people, they've been like, why are you still doing paperback books? Why are you still doing like physical books? No, like, why don't you just rely on digital? It's like, no, because there's no feeling like having your physical travel guide that you can like highlight and, like mark the corners of the pages and have your tattered, worn down, traveled guidebook. Like we have been faithful to the idea of paperbacks and just and not staying in the online world in travel, which I feel like travel has gravitated so much to online content in the past few years. And we're like, no, like we need the physical component. Travel is physical. So we do need physical spaces in travel as well. And we're also launching more group trips this year, many of them designed and focused on being offline and off the grid, either totally or partially. But we are creating more spaces, like real life connection spaces where women can meet other women, when you can like meet new people, where you can like, actually sit down, have a conversation, and just forget about social media and your phone and all those things.
I love it. I love the disconnection trips. I love the idea of getting your hands dirty, getting tactile, and having that awareness when you're with people to say, wait a minute, like there's a different way to do this. Let's get into this new
Yeah.
state of flow. Really inspiring. I loved your insights.
Our river rafting trips, they are amazing. It's 5 days where you're completely off the grid, camping on rivers, going down like the Snake River, the Rogue River in the US. And like by day 5, you're like, I don't want to go back to my phone. I don't want to turn on my phone. You're like, it really reboots you and really resets you. And of course, you come back online, but it has an amazing impact on you, being away from your phone and from like the news and like the constant stream of information we have 24/7. It's an amazing vacation for your brain.
Thank you so much. I love the idea of taking that amazing vacation for your brain. And for all of those listening, thank you so much for being part of this journey. You only have a few days to go. Emilia, really appreciate you. You've been such a great guest today.
No, thank you. You've been an amazing host. I really, really appreciate you having me here and being able to talk about this topic.
And for those of you listening, please share Leave the Feed with a friend. Have an epic day and don't be afraid to disconnect. Thanks again, Emilia.